crew at Comforts of Home was hard at work long before the students arrived. This is the first year that all incoming students at the American University of Paris were required to use Comforts of Home as their housing provider.
This was the first time that we actually had a significant number of beds in Paris. We had actually prepared to have about 240 students in beds in the fall. And we wound up with closer to 500. AUP had an amazingly successful year bringing its own students in, but also there was a huge number of new students who were associated with USC who came in. For an agency like ours, what that means is that once we realize that we have to supply not 240 beds, but 500 beds, it becomes a little bit of a scramble to get the beds under management.
Check-in proved to be quite hectic for AUP students, but the service with Comforts of Home only improved from there. They moved quickly to ensure all apartments had beds, Wi-Fi, and hot water.
In August here, things pretty much shut down entirely. So not only do locksmiths and manufacturers of other items close for the month, but sometimes our suppliers ran out of basic items like sofas and beds and mattresses. So it was pretty much of a scramble for us to get ready for the sudden arrival of 500 students.
But it wasn't home sweet home for every student. Many found themselves stranded in Paris for the first few days.
When I first got to Paris after a long 9-hour trip on the plane, I came across Comforts of Home and it was a mess. I thought I was living with 4 girls and it ended up being 8, and it felt like a sorority house already. It was my first time being in Paris, and so I was really overwhelmed, and nothing was ready for us. We had beds, but we didn't have bedding. We didn't have hot water or Wi-Fi, so I couldn't get a hold of my parents, and they needed to know where I was. So my first initial experience with Comforts of Home was a little bit rough. However, we were all really pleased with how quickly Comforts of Home fixed different problems in our apartment. Even just yesterday, they brought in another table and refrigerator. They're working hard to improve our living situation.
What matters to us is that that people's experience is not overshadowed by a rough couple of days coming in, because this really should be a life-changing experience, being here for a semester or for a year or for 4 years. This should condition what happens in the rest of your life.
Next year, students might think twice before using Comforts of Home. This is Carly reporting for AUP 7 News.